My name is Paul DiGiovanni. I am the account executive at Jason Risner Photography, which is a commercial photography business based in San Antonio, Texas, led by photographer director Jason Risner. I manage all of the sales and marketing and lead generation, client relationships, project management, a lot of the production for our team. So I do a lot of the business side of things, a lot of the management side of the business, and Jason obviously does the photography and the lighting and a lot of our editing for our clients. And I've been doing this for 10 years. I've worked with Jason. We've been fairly successful. We've stayed in the game. We've worked on hundreds of projects, maybe thousands or over a thousand. So I wanted to make a video to kind of share some of the core things I've learned about this business as someone who's not a photographer, but more of the business side of things, kind of what I've observed and experienced. Here's what I've learned, four things that I've learned in the last 10 years in the commercial photography business. Okay, number one, commercial photography is all about people, communication, managing relationships, developing relationships, being a people person. I think it's super important to be comfortable around people, want to get to know new people really fast, get people to trust you really fast. Again, build those relationships, develop relationships. That's a lot of what we do, and communicating and collaborating. Number one, with our clients, that's everything we do before the shoot happens. Is we're communicating with them, we're learning about their business, we're learning about their goals for photography, what they're doing in marketing and advertising, and we're bringing what we know about photography to help them achieve their goals as a marketing department in their business. So it's a lot of communication, it's a lot of learning, it's a lot of asking questions, and getting to know people and what they want to do, what their goals are, and why they're contacting you and why they need photography. So that's number one. Number two, being on set as a photographer, it's also super important to be really comfortable meeting new people in new situations at new locations that you've never been to before. Getting the people you're photographing to feel comfortable and trust you really fast and get them loose and relaxed so you can take the best photos of them. And also, when you're on set, your clients, agency might be involved. There's a lot of collaboration happening in real time. So you got to be open to getting feedback from people in real time, having people critique your photos in real time, because that's when you can make changes to your lighting or to your setup. And you just have to be really willing to listen to what other people think, what their opinions are about your photography, and you have to be able to communicate why you're doing certain things, or what options might be available in a situation to try to achieve their goals, or whatever notes they have while you're on set. So it's really important, because being on set can be a high pressure situation. There's a lot going on. You have one chance to maybe get something. You have limited time. You know, time is money when you're on set. There's maybe a crew there and people and things happening, and you got to be able to, open and willing to communicate and talk to people and be comfortable around people so you can make it happen, get it done, achieve everyone's goals, and move on to the next shot. That's what this business is all about. I think obviously being a good photographer and understanding photography and lighting is very important. You have to have that, of course, but what's going to make you successful, what's going to help you grow your business, develop relationships, build those long-term relationships with clients that are super important, I think, to your revenue and the long-term viability of your business. You have to be likable. You have to be good with people, so people want to pick up the phone and call you. They want to be on set with you. They want to be in those meetings with you, planning with you. That's all, I think, it can't be overlooked when it comes to running this business and being successful long term. If you're not a people person, I think you need to start developing those skills. You need to start embracing that side of your personality. You need to break out of your shell a little bit. Otherwise, this business, just might not be for you, because that's really what we do all day long. Is especially my job. I'm just constantly talking to people via email, text, or phone calls. You need to get comfortable being around people, meeting new people, and take interest in your clients, develop those relationships, nurture your relationships with your clients and prospective clients. And that's what this business, I think, number one, is really all about. Number two, commercial photography. Being a commercial photographer is just a really tough job. It is physically and mentally exhausting. Obviously it's not the hardest job in the world, but it's not as glamorous as maybe some people might think it is. You're not just walking around with a camera, snapping photos, taking pretty pictures. You have to spend a lot of time outside of just being on set, getting ready for shoots, managing your equipment, getting equipment out of storage, loading up your truck or your vehicle with equipment. And then when you get on set, you have early days starting at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. sometimes. You're working 10, 12-hour days, sometimes back to back. On top of that, you might be traveling to locations, whether you're driving or flying. So it can just be a lot. And I think people should understand that it's not an easy job. It is physically demanding, and more so, it's mentally exhausting as well. Just trying to be creative, and you can't take any one shot off as a photographer. You gotta Every shot is important, and you gotta give it your full attention. You have to pay attention to detail. You have to pay attention to things that your client doesn't even see, that you as a photographer should be seeing, and you have to have your full mental capacity there to and energy to take note of those and to notice those things and to make really high quality photos. So it's a tough job. I think what's important for us is to, number one, you have to, when you're busy, you have to take advantage of that and work. You can't, it's hard to say no to jobs just because you're busy. If you have an available shoot date, a lot of times you have to say yes because there's going to be times where you're not as busy, and you got to make money while you can. So when you are busy and you're shooting back-to-back days and back-to-back weeks and you're traveling a lot, I think it's important to try to spend some extra money on comforts, whether it's travel accommodations that are a little bit nicer, a nice meal, a nice hotel, flying first class. Also, if you can hire an extra assistant, sometimes it's not in the budget for a particular shoot or particular client, but if you have money and you're super busy, sometimes hiring that extra assistant makes sense. So you can really mentally focus on the creative side of things and make sure you're giving each shoot your full energy and attention to make good quality photos, because you never want to be on location and just feel like you're drained and you can't give it your best effort. That's just going to lead to a client maybe not being as satisfied as they could be, and there's downstream effects of not producing good photos every time you pick up your camera and for every shoot. It's a tough job. Over 10 years, there've been times where we're just worn out from traveling. I know Jason, obviously more so than me, he's on location. He's the one hitting the shutter button and doing all the creative work and moving a lot of that equipment and working with our crew to do all that. So just be prepared for that. If you're getting into commercial photography, the more you get into it, the more physically demanding it gets over time. Point number 3 that I wanted to talk about is that this business can be very volatile. There's a lot of ups and downs in terms of workflow. You go through periods where you're super, super busy, have a lot of shoots. It feels like everyone's calling you, wants to book a shoot. You're shooting, you got a lot going on, and things can be very stressful and tiring. And then you go through periods where things dry up a lot. Maybe you're only shooting once a week or less. Sometimes you may go 2 weeks in a row where you're not shooting at all. And that's not uncommon. It's not common either, but it does happen on occasion. And this is what can take people out of the business, I think, is that they run into some patches where they're just not getting work. And it happens to really good photographers with really good client bases. Sometimes the economy takes a dip. Sometimes just randomly your clients aren't needing photography all at the same time, and you run into a month or two where you're not shooting a lot. And that can be really difficult as a business person, someone that just wants to do what they love to do, make photos, earn money. When you run into those periods where you're not working, it can be really discouraging. I think what you need to do, or what's helpful, is one, when you have work, take on as much as you can. You don't want to get burnt out and overload yourself, but try to take on as many jobs as you can, and then prepare yourself to run into some dry patches. You may have some seasonal dry periods. For us in the winter, we tend to slow down a little bit because we shoot a lot outdoors. So we can kind of prepare for that throughout the year and kind of know business wise and money wise that things are going to slow down. And then if they don't, then that's cool. We make some extra money in the winter, and we're good to go. But what you should do is have a business savings account where you're saving some money always, just putting a little aside so you have money to get you through a month or two, maybe 3 months, of not working at all, you should try to have some kind of money set aside for that. Also, you never know when major gear might fail, a laptop, a camera, a lens that you need, all of a sudden need to spend $5,000 or more, $10,000 on equipment. So you should have some money saved aside. Try to be smart and save up some money and have a business savings account. So you always have something in your back pocket in case you hit a slow patch or you have an unexpected expense. Number two, you could try to develop retainer clients, which I think can be super helpful. You want to try and develop one, two, three retainer clients on the lower end, just so you have some guaranteed money, some guaranteed revenue, some guaranteed work happening throughout the year. And if you've been doing commercial photography for a bit, you probably have a couple or a handful of clients that shoot with you often. They have some type of business where they need photography every month. Those are the clients you want to approach after maybe doing that with them for a year or so. And then you can approach them and say, hey, over the last 2 years, we've shot on average every month or every quarter, and you've spent this much money with me. I want to propose for this year. We do a retainer agreement, not only to give yourself some guaranteed money and some job security, but propose it to them as a way for them to commit to the relationship, make sure that you're available for them to do their photography, because if they're shooting with you that often, then your photography is probably really important to their business and their marketing, and you're kind of giving them a way to say, hey, let's create an agreement and a commitment for the next year to make sure that you can achieve all of your marketing goals and you don't have to worry about me not being available. I think it's a good thing to propose and can be beneficial to both parties, and you want to propose it that way. So, business savings account, try to get some retainer clients. I think those things can help smoothen out your revenue ups and downs. That's what's going to keep you in this game, is just not running out of cash, because you never know when you're going to hit a dry period. You never know when a COVID's going to happen and things could grind to a halt. That was a lesson that we learned, and I think a lot of people learned. You just never know when things could dry up, and it could be totally random. It could be the economy, it could be a COVID. It can happen, and you want to protect yourself so you can weather those storms, weather those dry periods. Work on your marketing when you're not busy. Work on your marketing, work on your outreach, nurture your clients. Then those leads will start to come in again, and you'll be working again in no time. The fourth thing I wanted to touch on, the last thing I wanted to talk about, was that this business is very competitive. And I see this as our marketing person, our salesperson. I'm dealing with all the proposals, all the leads coming in. And especially as you get more advanced in the industry, dealing with bigger clients or agencies, a lot of the jobs are triple bid, meaning every single job you're proposing, not every single one, but a lot of the jobs you're submitting proposals for, the client's considering two other photographers. So right off the bat, you have a 1 in 3 chance, just statistically, of getting a job that you may want. So the odds are against you in terms of just a lot of the sales that you're doing and proposals you're putting out there. And it's because there are a ton of really high quality, talented, creative photographers out there. Clients have options when they're looking for photography. You need to understand that it's a competitive business and that you need to constantly be working on your photography, constantly improving what you're doing, stay up to date with the latest techniques, gear, post production softwares, AI stuff, whatever it is. You need to make sure that you're always kind of looking for an edge to gain and staying up to date with what's going on. So newer, younger photographers aren't passing you up. The ones that are hungry, that are, living and breathing photography, maybe they have more time on their hands. You need to also make sure you carve out some time to stay on top of your game and know what's going on. So your clients aren't seeing other photographers doing stuff that you can't do. On top of that, you need to develop your own style, develop your own niche. Over time, you should be becoming more unique as a photographer. It doesn't mean you can't do everything proficiently as a photographer, as a commercial photographer. For example, we do architecture, food, portraits, lifestyle, product. Jason can shoot all of those things. But over time, you should be developing a specialty in a niche whether it's a style of photography, it's a type of client you work with, where you really gain a lot, and you can only get this through experience, but you gain a lot of experience doing certain types of projects and you become an expert at those, and your portfolio starts to show that you're a bit of an expert in a particular niche or a particular style. And the more you do that over time, the more you differentiate yourself and you lessen the competition, because the more unique you are as a person, the less likely it is that someone else can do what you want to do. And it just so happens that the more unique you become, the more proficient you become in just being what you do best and doing what you do best. Those are the jobs that really pay the most typically on the higher end, because at that level, a client or an agency is looking for someone unique. They're not just looking for anybody who can do anything. So you're still going to have those jobs that are a little more basic. Maybe they're not hiring you because you're some particular style or particular thing that you can do for them. Over time, you should be doing more projects where there's not as much competition, and agencies or clients are seeking you out because they found your portfolio and you match what they're trying to achieve for their client or their project specifically. So that's kind of a way you can get a leg up on the competition, just by becoming more unique, becoming more, more yourself in your photography, where it's just more of a unique and dialed in thing, and it's not just a bland, generic portfolio that shows you do everything kind of like everybody else does. That's what I would say about that. It is a tough competitive business. There's a lot of good photographers out there, so make sure you stay on your toes, and over time make sure you're developing your own style, developing your own expertise in the photography world. That will help you stand out for certain types of jobs, ones that you really like to do, hopefully, and ones that will pay you more as well. So, in a nutshell, that's some of the key things I've learned after being involved in the commercial photography business for the last 10 years. It's a awesome business to be a part of. I really do personally love working in this industry. You get to meet so many people you would never have met before. You get to go learn about all these businesses that you didn't even know existed, parts of the economy that, happen every day, that you get to go and get a really brief but deep look into what they do. And then you get to capture the most beautiful things about what they do too. And everyone, for the most part, everyone likes being at a photo shoot. They love seeing the photos. They love seeing their business come alive in a beautiful way and captured in a photo. So it's a lot of fun what we get to do. For the most part, our clients are really happy with working with us. And at the end of the day, we're helping them achieve important marketing goals and advertising goals that are going to help grow their business, help solidify their business, and help do what they do. It's a really awesome business, but obviously it's very difficult. It's tough. It's very competitive. There's a lot of ups and downs. That's what I've learned after 10 years. Would love to hear any feedback or questions, answer any questions anyone has about the business. Other than that, check us out, risnerphoto.com. We're based here in San Antonio, Texas. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in another video.